Tonight in Spotlight, New Jersey, the Metuchen-Edison area branch of the NAACP. On February 11th, the organization is presenting a special play called Ain't Gonna Let Nobody, Songs and Stories of the Civil Rights Movement. Doors open at 7 p.m. at Crossroads Theater in New Brunswick. Kristen Adele is the writer and director. And thank you, Kristen, for joining us by phone tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, Dowd. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am so excited. Now tell us all about the premise and the inspiration behind this play.
All right. Well, the play takes place in 1963 in a small town in rural Mississippi, and it is a coming-of-age story in which two young African-American kids from Harlem visit their southern relatives after the death of their mother. And along the way, they're confronted with prejudice, injustice, and also receive some help from some surprising sources. So the play uses humor, uses song and dance, and celebrates the true stories of the people in the civil rights movement who were able to overcome circumstances far greater than themselves.
Sounds like something. Go ahead, Kristen.
Oh, I was going to say, as far as the inspiration, when Reggie Johnson, who is the president of the Metuchen-Edison branch of the NAACP, approached me about collaborating on this, he had several stories in mind from members of his chapter and also people that he knew growing up who were involved in the movement that he thought would lend themselves well to being told theatrically. And I agreed with him because there's so many events in the 1960s that are wonderfully and awfully dramatic, from the hundreds of children who were arrested and put into jail to the brutality of the sit-ins to the police hoses and dogs that were unleashed on people. But we didn't want to just focus on those things that a lot of us know about. We also wanted to shine light on some of the nooks and crannies of America where people were working to effect change.
We know this is Black History Month, and we know that movie Red Tails just came out telling the story of the Tuskegee Airmen and those elite pilots. So why is your story so important now too, Kristen?
Well, you know, the civil rights movement in this country is vastly undertaught. When we do teach it, we usually just hear about Dr. King and Rosa Parks, and while their contributions were priceless, there were so many other people fighting. So I hope people will come and see this play and hear something or see something that inspires them to go look up something else, to go investigate about Fannie Lou Hamer or Freedom Summer, and find out about a part of our history that's in great danger of being forgotten.
And again, that is on February the 11th at 7 p.m. at Crossroads Theater in New Brunswick. Kristen, Adele, thank you very much for coming on to talk about us by phone. It's Ain't Gonna Let Nobody at Crossroads Theater again in New Brunswick. You have a good night.
You too. Thank you, Dowd.
My pleasure. Take care. No thanks. That's what the city of Hoboken is saying to a spinoff of MTV's Jersey Shore. The show featuring